Everybody, Mark Abrams here. King's Promotions press conference for the fight this Saturday night, November 20th, at the 2300 Arena. We got some of the fighters, and there's a couple others will be joining us hopefully soon for this big night of action. We're going to go over all the fights in just a moment. But I just want to talk with Marshall Kaufman and Andrew Foy of King's Promotions. Just a couple of housekeeping items here. First, we want to congratulate you guys. King's Promotions crowns its first world champion over the weekend, and Alicia Baumgartner. Marshall was there. Marshall, how's talk about the fight and Alicia winning her world title?
I mean, it was extremely exciting. You know, it was something that you often dream about, and so it's something that Andrew and I both thought that would eventually happen someday, and especially Andrew as he pushed for it for so long, and it all came full circle, and she's now world champion, two-time world champion in a sense. You see, and.
Well, Marshall seems to be driving. Andrew, you want to finish this off? Hold on. Andrew's a guy who I know early on when Alicia was signed to King's Promotions, he was very much, a very behind Alicia. So, Andrew, do you want to just finish what Marshall was starting?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was extremely exciting, as Marshall mentioned. I mean, she did what we really believed that she would do, and she showed, her class and her level. And it was interesting before the fight and the lead up to the fight. Terry Harper made the comment that this fight would show that there's levels to the sport, and that's something that inside boxing we all know and appreciate. But the reality is, it did show that there was levels, and that Alicia is truly on a different level. I think than even the best women in the world. I mean, the knockout was spectacular. I say it's the biggest and most emphatic win in a women's world title fight that I can really recall. And Alicia is really the first American fighter to go across the pond into hostile territory and win a world title like that since Errol Spence did it, probably 5-6 years ago against Kell Brook. And so extremely exciting. We're, very, very proud of Alicia and really happy for her and expecting really big things to come.
Couple fights on the
I can't see nobody else.
Who's that? Who's talking?
Jeremy. I can't see nobody else.
All right, don't worry about it. We got you.
All right. There we
so
are.
Marshall, if we have you back, we got two big fights coming up. November 27th, we got Raisa Lim, I believe he's fighting Eduardo Baez. Is that who he's fighting?
Correct. He's fighting Eduardo Baez on Showtime, the co-feature for the championship boxing series on the undercard of Fulton and Figueroa, and so in hopes that we get the winner of that fight.
And hot off the presses, literally broken or announced about 2 hours ago, the big rematch with the big heavyweights is on live on pay-per-view on January 1st from the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Michael Coffey takes on Johnny Rice, Part 2. Marshall and Andrew afterwards, if you want to chime in on that, talk about that and, Michael's chances for redemption.
Yeah, Al called me, Al Heyman that is, called me and asked me about if I wanted to do the rematch. And I said, of course, I love to do that, but let me run it by Michael. I talked to Michael, and he's like, yes, most definitely, I want it. And we all look at it, the team looks at it as though if he goes out there and wins, which we think he can win, that puts him back in position to be one of the top heavyweights in the world again. If he loses, he's in the same position as what he was. So it's really a win-win situation, in my opinion, and I think it makes total sense. We're thankful to Al Heyman for giving us this opportunity over and over again.
Andrew, you want just to put a cap on that?
Can you stop?
Yeah, I mean, everything that Marshall said, I agree with. Glad for the opportunity in the rematch, and it's a really a no lose situation for Mike at this point. We think he has the ability to win this fight, and he can really redeem himself and put himself right back in the mix. If he wins, I mean, there's really no better options for him than to be able to take this rematch, in my opinion.
Well, right now, Kings Promotions as world champions, they got pay-per-view fights. But before all that is this Saturday live at the 2300 Arena. Still a few tickets still available with a terrific 8-bout card. We'll just go over the card really quick. Devin Young, 1-0, 1 KO, takes on Nicoy Clark. Julian Gonzalez, 4-0 versus Tyrock Gainey, 0-1. Rashid Johnson, 7-5, takes on Andres Abarca. Andrew and Marshall will talk on those fights later. But we have the next fight, Jonthan Rodriguez, 9-1, taking on the 32-fight veteran Roberto Paqueta. We got Jonthan here on the line. Jonthan, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Just feeling good for the fight. So,
talk to us about this fight. We're a couple days away, fighting a real veteran guy, Roberto Paqueta.
I'm feeling really good about this fight. I know, he's your typical Mexican fighter come forward, but I've been training hard for the fight. I've been getting the right sparring for the fight. I'm just all around confident on it.
Marshall, I think we lost Marshall for a minute. So if Marshall in here, Andrew, talk about this fight for Jonthan Rodriguez. He's 9-1. He's kind of a little bit on the upswing after suffering his only defeat. He's won a couple in a row since then. Andrew, talk about the prospects for Jonthan.
Well, it's a great fight for Jonthan. Paqueta is kind of one of these journeyman type fighters. He's known to be a hard-nosed guy, to give a good fight. And, he's certainly capable of coming in and pulling an upset. But, we're confident that Jonthan is going to, show his skills, his class. He's really worked hard to get back from his first loss that he had, which was really a great fight, nothing to hang your hat over. And we're still really hoping for Jonthan to do some big things, continue to be a big draw for us. And, I think this is going to be a great little fight.
There you have it, Jonthan. We'll get back to you in a minute. Also, we have a welterweight fight featuring James Marton taking on Edgar Torres, two guys who have been, main event type fighters for Kings Promotions in the previous fights. Marshall, we just had Jonthan Rodriguez speak. Marshall, his fight against the 32-fight veteran Roberto Paqueta. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a tough fight. I mean, as I said to Indio's father, that it's a kind of fight that Jonthan needs. It's the kind of fight that I believe that Jonthan is victorious on, but it's going to be the fight that takes him to another level. Paqueta's a very tough individual once those fights, and he's very crafty, very aggressive. I think it's going to allow us to see what Jonthan got. We thought that his last fight, Sebastian Balthazar, was going to be a challenge because Balthazar gave Rasheen down.
Marshall, you may have to call us back when you get around the corner because you're really breaking up here. So maybe log back off and then log back on.
I'm in my house. I don't know what's okay.
So maybe switch to Wi-Fi if you can. So we got that. So the next fight up. Let me see. We got you back, Marshall.
Yes, I took the Wi-Fi off altogether.
Much better. So we got your thoughts. We talked and some of the fights that we were just going through, we'll comment on the end. I just want to get to our guest first. Next up, we have Quadir Albright, 3-0, 3 KOs, taking on 7-1 William Hernandez. We have Quadir here. Let me pull you up. There he is. Quadir, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Feel good.
Well, we're 3 days away from this fight with William Hernandez, 7-1, 4 KOs. On paper, it looks to be your toughest bout to date, being with his record. I see you're smiling. You have the smiling like, no, it isn't kind of thing. Talk to us about the fight.
Man, it's going to be easy. I work hard. I train hard. I spar with the best. It's going to be an easy night of boxing.
You expect to keep your knockout streak intact?
Of course.
So you've been very impressive. You actually lived up to the billing, Marshall, and I'll get to him. Marshall, tell us the thoughts so far. The first 3 fights of Quadir Albright.
I mean, he did what he was supposed to do against the limited opposition, and of course, he was brand new in the game as well in the pro ranks. So we had to see what he had, and when I seen what he was capable of doing, I wanted a tougher test for him. I wanted to see where he was at, and his team wanted to see where he was at. And when I presented it to his coach, Rasheem Jefferson, he had no questions about who he was fighting. The fact that he's stepping up in competition to fight a 7-1 kid, and he's only been pro since June. It really says a lot about him and his team overall. Rasheem said, "Yeah, let's go for it. Let's run with it." His mother, who plays a very important part in his career, said, "Hey, let's go for it." And number one, he said, "Let's go for it." He's excited. He's been working hard. I think we're going to see the best Quadir Albright yet.
Andrew, a quick question to you. Let me just mute this over here. Quick question to you. Through 3 fights, how impressive in your eyes has Quadir Albright been?
He's been as impressive as he could possibly be, in my opinion.
Short, sweet, to the point. So we'll get back to Quadir for some final thoughts in a couple minutes. We have an unbelievable co-feature fight that we have both gentlemen on the line here. Jeremy Cuevas, 13-1, 10 KOs, takes on James Bernadin, 4-0-1, 2 KOs. We have both James and Jeremy on the line. I'll go to James first. We're a few days away from this big fight. What are your thoughts? James, I think you're on mute. I muted you. My bad. Hold on. I muted you. Go for it, James.
Yeah, I'm ready. Feeling good, and I'm ready. I can't wait.
Tell us what you thought. I mean, he's on the line. What do you think of Jeremy Cuevas, the fighter?
He's just another person in the way.
Just another person on the way. Jeremy, let me get to you. Jeremy, you got James on the line here. We're a few days away from this big showdown, fighting an undefeated fighter. Tell us your thoughts a few days out.
I feel great. The weight is being made great, which in my other fights was a big issue, but it's being made really good. I got really good sparring, really top sparring. I got a good team around me. Everything is really good, and we just going to see, you know what I'm saying, if he's, if what he's saying is true, the fight night, you know what I'm saying, we're going to test it big time.
Marshall, obviously, you always have a thought process in making these type of fights. Putting the undefeated James Bernadin in with a real tough guy, Jeremy Cuevas. He's fought a lot of terrific fighters. He's 13-1, 10 knockouts. What's the thought process in making this fight?
Well, the thought process was this. I couldn't find an opponent for Jeremy Cuevas for the longest time. And so what took place was Bernadin's opponent, Kevin Asmat, pulled out because of a shoulder injury. So as we're trying to put things together and made offers to other fights, Bernadin said, and his team said, "We'll step up. We'll fight this. We want to prove to you that we're the best." And it says a lot about them and their team as well. The same as what I just said about Quadir. When you have a kid that's only got 4 fights and he's willing to step up and fight a kid that's 13-1, you have to respect that, 100%. And so I'm anxious. I'm looking forward to it. Jeremy's been off for all about 2 years, and so we're going to see how Jeremy responds to the pressure. But I think what we're going to see is an exciting fight. I think that James it's going to bring the best out in James. I don't think we've seen the best of James yet. And So it's going to be a very intriguing fight. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure the fans are going to love it. And of course, who doesn't love a great fight?
Well, speaking of great fights and great fighters, and Jeremy and James, we'll get back to you in a minute. I just want to introduce the main event. The main event is, one of the top prospects in the game. He's been featured on like the best under 25 list on Fox. I'm sure you guys saw it. And the undefeated. Who's that talking in the background?
Yeah.
That's why I had to mute Bernadin before. So we got one of the top prospects in the game, 3-0, 3 knockouts, making his Philadelphia debut. He just educated me on what Lord Pretty Calvo means. Atif Oberlton. Atif, fighting the main event in your hometown, your first professional fight in your city. Talk about, we're 3 days out. Talk about the fight. Talk about what Brent Warren brings to the table.
I don't know what he brings to the table. I don't care what he brings to the table. I feel like I am the table, so that really don't matter.
So far, your first 3 fights have all pretty much been on national TV, and I'm sure when you saw Fox put that list up with your name on it, probably, does that stuff give you more confidence than you already have?
Yeah, it do, because it make me feel like I'm right on time. I'm doing the things I'm supposed to be doing.
I'll get to Marshall real quickly here. Marshall, when you signed Atif, you said it was the biggest signing so far the Kings has made, and I would say Atif has kind of lived up to the billing.
Do you have me muted, Mark, or am I unmuted?
Nope. No,
Okay.
you're off mute.
Okay, no, and I agree with that. I still believe that. I believe that. No disrespect to any of the other boxers. I believe that Atif is the real deal. He's proven it in the amateurs. He's proven it in the pros. And he's the real deal. The other guys, Atif had an amateur background to go along with it, so it made his process, his transition from the amateurs to the pros a little bit easier and a little bit faster compared to guys like Quadir. But they're all very talented fighters. They're all hard workers. They all deserve credit. But I think that Atif is, without a doubt, like I said this before, I never said this about anybody ever, that he looks to me as though he's the future world champion without a doubt. And, you can say that, you can see that sometimes with certain people, but with him, I see the total package. I see that he can fight, he can box, he can hit the body, he can bang. And even more importantly, he's very, very confident. Not overconfident, but he believes in himself more than what anybody else even believes in him. And that goes a long way. Atif, we have a big plans for him. He's going to get through this fight on Saturday. He's going to look great, in my opinion. And then he'll be coming right back on Christmas Day in the Prudential Center. So we have a very exciting future for Atif, and I'm excited about it. I think Atif has that type of natural ability that he can fight for a world title in 10 fights.
Atif, when you hear stuff like that and combine that with some of the stuff that we mentioned at the top of the show with King's Promotions winning world titles last week, Michael Coffey fighting on pay-per-view, Raif Salim fighting on a major fight on Showtime, Michael Fox getting big opportunities on Fox and maybe Showtime down the road. Combine that with what Marshall just said about you. How does that make you feel? With King's Promotions and where you could possibly be within the next 3, 4, 5 fights.
It make me feel good. I feel like it's nothing that I didn't work my whole life towards. So just hearing it come out of my own promoter's mouth is more so like pretty much just even manifesting even more was most likely was going to happen. So it's basically just letting me see like, yeah, these are the things that I've been working on and working for my whole life, and they are coming full circle.
Andrew, when you hear things like that, and I know you have Marshall's ear on some things, and you hear all that stuff that Marshall just said and what Atif has shown you in the first 3 fights, expand on that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I first got to say that I did actually say one of our fighters would definitely be a world champion, and I'm 1-for-1 on that. And I echo Marshall on saying that Atif will be as well, and I'm very confident in that prediction. I mean, what he's done in his first 3 fights is really impressive when you think about it. I mean, he hasn't had any, what would be considered typical kind of walkover type fights, but he's made them look like walkover fights. I mean, he's fought guys in these first 3 fights on television that, these guys are ranked like in the top 25 and 30 on BoxRec in the light heavyweight division. And he's dispatching these guys and making it look easy. And these are serious professionals. And so it really does speak to the level that Atif is on. And, I'm really happy that he's going to be on this show. And, I do want to, I have to give a shout out to his opponent, Brent Oren. He's a wily guy. He's an exciting guy to watch. And, I mean, he's got balls down to his ankles, and you got to give him credit for even taking this fight. And I'm sure he's going to do his best to make it interesting. Yeah, I mean, Atif has it all. And I think I hope people come and watch this so they can say that they got the chance to see him in person early in his career when he fought in Philadelphia, because, there may not be too many opportunities to see him in a venue like this before he becomes a world champion. I think it is going to be sooner rather than later.
I just want to run down the card with Marshall really quick. If Andrew, you have anything to add to what Marshall saying about each particular fight, we're going to go up the card, and when we get to our guests again, we're going to have them say a final statement. So, Marshall, we got the heavyweight bout, Devin Young, who makes his King's debut against the always tough and rugged McCoy Clark. Heavyweights, expound on that, Marshall.
I mean, I love McCoy Clark. He comes to Rumble. And Devin Young is coming up from South Carolina, really sort of a cruiserweight, moved up to heavyweight. He was in the amateurs with Atif, did very well as a JO, in the under 19s, I should say. Hasn't been as exciting as a open class fighter, but it's going to be a test for him. It's not going to be an easy fight. You look at McCoy Clark and you see that he's 2-6, but he fought Michael Coffey and didn't get stopped. He's just a very, very tough, rugged southpaw, and he gave a lot of undefeated heavyweights trouble. So I think it's a tough challenge for Devin Young.
And just by the way, our guy Michael Fox watching, so we got to give a big shout out to the professor who's watching all the festivities here. Next up, we have Julian Gonzalez and Tyrock Gainey, Marshall.
Julian Gonzalez is sort of a young kid that possesses incredible power for a kid his size at 130 pounds. Him and Quadir are sort of like on the same path. The difference is I think Quadir has a lot more pedigree when it comes to his amateur background. So Quadir can take a step up like he's taken a step up, where Julian's not ready for that step up yet. But he's a young kid that has tremendous power, and he's facing a kid that just fought another undefeated kid and wasn't stopped. So let's see what Julian can do with him.
There you have it for that fight. Anything, Andrew?
Well, I mean, I would just say for the first fight, for people that might be contemplating coming out, it is a really good fight for the card. I'm excited to see Devin Young. He's managed by David McWater and Split T Promotions. And, David has a pretty good track record of scouting talent from the amateur ranks. And so I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. And I think McCoy Clark is like the perfect test sort of opponent. I mean, he always comes to Rumble. He's tough. He's hard to get out of there. And so it's going to say a lot about, what level Devin Young is at. And I'm looking forward to seeing that because I really don't know. And then as far as Julian goes, I love Julian's style. I loved it when I saw him as an amateur. I think he has tremendous professional potential. He's very young. as Marshall said, he might not have the most extensive amateur pedigree in the world, but he has a pretty good amateur background. I'm pretty confident that he's going to be have an excellent professional career. And it's hard to say exactly where that's going to end up right now, but I think he's going to be a fighter that continues to really be one of our fan favorites as he progresses in his career until he, moves on to the television level, I anticipate.
Marshall, next up, Rashid Johnson and Andres Abarca.
Well, as we know, Rashid's coming off of a knockout loss, one that he was winning every round until the fourth round. I found out that he made some changes and for those who don't know, Rashid is a diabetic and he's on insulin. And so he made some changes with his insulin prior to the fight, which might have caused him with fatigue and who knows what. But Abarca's a guy that comes and has never been stopped. He's a tough, durable guy. So it's going to be one of those fights that I think it's the right fight for Rashid to come back on. But Rashid can't sleep on him, that's for sure.
Next up, get a final word from Jonthan Rodriguez about his fight with Roberto Paqueta. Jonthan, give the fans out there a final word. If Roberto Paqueta is watching this, what do you want to say to him?
I don't really got no words for him, but I just want to say to the people, you don't want to miss this fight. I've been training too hard. I'm not here to just win a fight. I'm here to make a statement Saturday night. And
by that, can we expect a knockout?
We'll see what happens Saturday night.
Marshall, next up is James Marton and Edgar Torres. These are two guys who recently have headlined King's Promotions events, and now they're fighting each other. This fight's going to wind kind of in the middle of the card. So, this just shows you the depth of this card on Saturday night. These are two guys who've been main eventers for King's Promotions.
Correct. And James Marton has taken on more prospects than anyone in the last year. He's fought Xander Isaias. He's fought Vito Melnicki, then he fought Joey Spencer, and so he's fighting Edgar Torres, who's 8-2. Even though Edgar's coming off of 2 losses, it's the right fight for James Marton, I believe. It's also the right fight for Edgar Torres. James Marton also just recently lost his father about 2 weeks ago, so I was surprised that he wanted to stay in the fight. Says a lot about him and his desire to fight. So I think it's going to be an entertaining fight because, as we know, James Martin's 7-3 with no knockouts, and so and Edgar Torres, his last 2 fights that he lost was only by knockout. So let's see what happens come Saturday night. I think it's going to be a good, entertaining fight, and I really want to see how James rebounds from what's been going on in his own personal life. And back to Jonthan, we don't want to see Jonthan. If a knockout comes, it comes. I just think Jonthan's going to be in a spectacular fight. He proved himself in that last fight against Balthasar, and he really, to me, that was his best performance yet as a pro. So I'm looking for another great performance for him on Saturday night.
Also, I just want to get to Quadir Albright. The not too shy Quadir Albright, because he likes to talk a little bit. Again, Marshall thinks it's your toughest foe. You don't seem to think so. So just give me a final word. If William Hernandez is out there, what do you want to tell him?
Man, out of all his 8 fights, he ain't never been stopped before. Come Saturday night, I'm going to knock him out, and I promise you that.
That's a promise.
That's a promise. I'm on weight. I'm feeling good. I've been sparring with the best. All I'm going to say is I'm more than ready for this fight.
Andrew, what do you think of the brashness of our man Quadir Albright here?
I love it. I think he should be. I think he deserves it. And, he can back it up.
Let's get to our co-feature bout. 13-1, 10 KOs. Jeremy Cuevas takes on 4-0-1 James Bernadin. James, you have Jeremy here. What do you want to tell him before you guys see each other at the weigh-in?
I don't got nothing to really tell him. I'm just gonna show him on Saturday.
Got a prediction for this fight?
Either he's gonna run or I'm gonna knock him out.
You stupid. You crazy, boy.
Yeah.
You crazy as hell, boy.
Too weak. Too
You ain't
soft.
knocking nobody out. You
Too strong for
crazy.
you. Too strong for you.
You crazy.
All them
You
bones,
what?
all them bones you been taking out. I'm not them bones.
You crazy, boy.
I'm not them bones you been taking
You
out.
crazy. So much you too strong for me. You
I'm
crazy,
too strong
boy.
for you. Watch. You'll see
You
on
crazy.
Saturday.
You gonna
You'll
see.
see.
You
You'll
gonna
see.
see. The boy
You'll
you
see.
beat last, I beat like 3 times. You ain't
You'll see.
believe me.
You'll
You ain't
see.
strong enough for me.
You'll see.
Believe me.
You'll see. You're not strong enough.
You
You're weak.
gonna see.
Walk your ass down. You're gonna be running.
You stupid. You sound
You're gonna be
stupid, boy.
running.
Ain't nobody
If you
ever
stay-
made me do that
I
in
want
my
you to
life.
stay and fight. Then I want you to stay and fight.
We gonna stay and fight. Believe me.
You ain't gonna. I bet you ain't gonna stay and fight.
Believe me. I
You
believe
stay and
me.
fight. It's gonna be an early night for you. That's it.
Believe me.
It's
Believe
gonna
me.
be an
You
early
ain't got
night.
it
Stay
like
and
that.
fight. It's
Believe
gonna
me.
be an early night. You know
Believe
you
me.
don't
That's why
mean
you
that shit.
smiling, because you think
You
it's
know
funny.
you don't
It's
mean
not
that
funny,
shit.
boy.
You know you don't mean that shit, bitch. It's
Okay,
gonna
we
be an
gonna
early
see.
night for
We
you.
see at the weigh-in if you
I
talking
will
like
see.
that.
We'll
We'll see.
see.
I'm gonna slap you in your fucking face.
No,
You
you
talk
won't.
like that at the
Yo,
weigh-in.
I'll knock you the fuck out before the
Okay,
fight.
we see. We see.
Guys, let's not do this on
Don't play
Friday.
with shit.
You're not
Don't play
getting
We
with
paid.
see.
You're not
Don't play
getting
with me.
paid for
You know you're
slapping
not
We'll
tough.
see.
Marshall.
Yep.
Yo, Marshall.
Listen,
You're not
listen.
tough. You're not built like that.
Hey,
Come on,
you know,
dog. You talking about you're not
You're not
built
built
like
like
that.
that.
Stop playing with me, bro.
all right,
You
Mark,
ain't
you
shit.
can mute those guys,
You're
man.
nobody. You're nobody.
Should I mute you again,
You're
Marshall?
nobody. That's
No,
what
you
you
can
are.
mute those guys. I said. So
I don't know.
listen,
Here we go.
I love all the hype. I do. You know what I mean? But guys, we're gonna save that for Saturday, not Friday.
Yeah,
all right?
Marshall
'Cause
ain't
I already
paying
did-
you if you
there
do it
won't-
on Friday.
There won't be no fight on. There won't be no fight on Saturday. So, bottom line is, come Saturday, we're gonna let it all hang out. It's gonna be a great fight, Mark. Listen, from top to bottom, Quadir, Albright, you gotta love his confidence. I love it. I do, and I believe in him 100%. Otherwise, I would have never made this fight. You gotta give credit to James Bernadin and Jeremy Cuevas for putting in this fight. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a barn burner. It's probably gonna be the best fight of the night. I love it. You know, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I'm so excited about this night. And then, of course, I mean, we got Pretty Cavill.
Well, hold on. I'm cringing while doing this. I did give James his time, and to just be politically correct, let's give Jeremy a couple minutes of his own time.
What's up?
Just-
Ask me anything you want.
All right,
I'm ready.
let's just keep it clean and just give me just a final thought about the fight on Saturday night.
I'm ready. I've been in there with guys, talk whatever, you know what I'm saying? Let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what it is.
I think you just you guys both just spiced this fight up, which is a good thing. And then a good fight just got a little bit more interesting. We'll go to the main event really quick. Atif, you guys are done. I don't want to have to mute you.
It's gonna be an early night.
Atif,
hey, it's my turn.
It's your first of all. I have a feeling when the time comes for you to get an opponent to where there's a little animosity. Something tells me you're not going to be shy when exchanging barbs if you have an opponent like that.
No, not at all. I ain't never shy.
There's something tells me you're not going to let anyone just talk to you. So anyway, you're the main event this Saturday night live in your hometown. I don't know if I asked you this, but you're doing this in your hometown. You were named the Amateur of the Year in Philadelphia. All the accolades that went with everything. Now you're stepping between the ropes where you're gonna have a big crowd behind you.
Yeah. So what's the question?
Well, the question is just what are your things? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts? And just this moment, ever since you started boxing, you probably dreamt of this.
Yeah, I did dream of it actually, and I dreamt of it on an even bigger stage, which is going to get to one day. I want to sell out even bigger arenas back home. So this is just the start of it.
You predicting a knockout Saturday night?
I'm predicting I'm gonna whoop somebody's ass. I know that. That's all I know.
Just as long as it's not Marshall's.
Oh no, that's my guy right there. He tried
So, Marshall, you want to put a capper on this? You and Andrew first. We'll go to Actually, we'll go to Andrew first, then Marshall. Andrew, want to put a cap on this?
Yeah, I just want to say, despite the back and forth, I mean, we expect this kind of thing from boxers, and this is what makes boxers kind of special people, and they need to have that kind of confidence to be able to step in the ring and expose themselves to the danger that's involved in this sport. My hat goes off to both guys. This is the first time I'll be working with Jeremy. I'm excited to. This is not, this would not be an ideal fight for somebody in his position to come back to after the layoff he's had. For James, very few, if any, people in James' position would take this fight. It certainly wouldn't be ideal. The fact that he and his coach were willing to do it says a lot for him. It really says a lot to both guys. And I think in the ring it will live up, to what we're seeing tonight between these two. I think styles are going to make for a great fight in this one. As far as the main event, I've already spoken about it. I think people should come out and watch Atif in this forum. It might be the last time to ever see him in a setting like this. And I'm excited for the whole event. I mean, I think in general this is probably the best show we've put together this year, and hope it leads into bigger and better things for next year.
Well, over the weekend, I coined the phrase to Alicia, the Queen of Kings. Right now, I want to finish this off with the King of Kings, Marshall Kaufman.
Yeah, okay. Well, look.
Well, you are the king, aren't you? You're the
that I am. But I'm excited about Saturday night. I love every fighter that's on this card, for real. I respect every fighter that's on this card. They can beef, they can fight, they can argue and bark back and forth at each other, and it's all good, it's all fun, and it helps to boost ticket sales. So I love it. Hey, keep barking, but come Saturday night, put on one hell of a show, and I believe that every one of them is going to do that. You hear it from Quadir, you hear it from James, you hear it from Jeremy, you hear it from Jonthan, you hear it from, Pretty Cavo is just so cool and laid back about it all because he knows what he's got, right? So I love it, man. I really do. And Mark, don't ever try to match me up with Pretty Cavo. All right, remember that.
Well, he said he's gonna whoop somebody's ass on. I just don't want it to be me, you, or Andrew or somebody.
Mark. It might be yours, Mark.
Well, they sit the media in the back, so I'm pretty safe now.
Mark, you can't move fast enough for him.
I'm right by the door, so I'm good. I'm good.
It's gonna be a great night, man. It's gonna be a great night. I'm telling you.
Well, guys, this was a terrific press conference. All you guys really shined during this. Atif and Jeremy and James and Quadir and Jonthan, I thank you guys for a few minutes of your time. We will see you Friday at the weigh-in and Saturday night live at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. Thank you and good night.